Here we are on Clothesline, the show where we wring them clean, string them up and put them to dry on the clothesline. It didn't matter which channel you watched this past week because there was only one piece of news on everyone's agenda. Modi's America visit, which was covered by a media that hasn't been this excited about anything. Now, TV news channels splurge on anything that pulls in advertisers and has the elements of a tamasha, like the elections.
Nandita Suneja is right now in the Congress Party headquarters, but the technology we use, which is 3D animation technology, allows us to bring Nandita Suneja live. Well, Padmaja, there you go. And in the virtual world, we are now going to transport you out. There she's gone.
Or the Anna protests.
ये ऐसे हैं ऐसे और कभी इधर करके देखते हैं तो कभी इधर देखते हैं और कभी इधर देखते हैं.
Leading the way was CNN-IBN, whose sister, or should we say brother channel CNN, snagged an interview with Narendra Modi, and not only did CNN-IBN telecast the interview, they decided to milk it to the max and did their own interview. No, not with Modi, with the man who interviewed Modi, Fareed Zakaria, or if he's going to pronounce Modi as Modi, I'm going to pronounce Fareed Zakaria as Farid Zakaria.
Modi explained to me that for him the most formative experience of his life was traveling India. When I put the question to him, as you see in that clip, he's very clear, and I think that was a question he had thought about, and he says, let me put it to you in one word, the answer is yes. As you'll see in the interview, he has a very sound and interesting response. He says, look, I'm not going to do drama for drama's sake.
And what was the point of that? If we wanted to know what happened in the Modi interview, we'd watch the Modi interview, not an interview about the interview. Oh God, still. Fareed was at great pains to stress what an all-round awesome leader Modi was.
The dominant impression one gets of Prime Minister Modi is one of extreme intelligence. I've met a lot of world leaders. He is among the sharpest I've met.
That's nice. Very nice, Fareed. But coming from Fareed, it sounds like a lot of makhan baji, because just 2 years ago at the Express Adda, this is what he had to say. And that time he used to say, Narendra Modi, not Modi. Watch.
My personal opinion is that Narendra Modi is unlikely to be a national leader in India. I think that he may even not be a regional leader in India come December. He did some things which I violently disagree with, but he's not the face of all of India.
We won't hold that against him because he's not the first journalist to have changed his stripes since it became clear Modi was going to be India's Prime Minister. If CNN-IBN can do an interview of the person who interviewed Modi, then we're going to do an interview with the person who didn't interview the person who was interviewed by the person CNN-IBN interviewed. Who? Me! So Madhu, what was it like not interviewing the guy who was interviewed by the guy CNN-IBN interviewed? Oh, I'm sure he would have been a great guy, really smart. I would have asked generic questions, which would have been vetted by him, of course, and he would have proven what a smart guy and a great guy he was by answering them. That sounds great, Madhu. So why didn't you interview the guy you didn't interview who was interviewed by the guy that CNN-IBN interviewed? Those questions are too complicated. You have to give them to me first, I will vet them and then answer them. That's the format. While CNN-IBN got a head start on their rivals with the Zakaria interview, the other channels weren't far behind. In fact, our otherwise starving TV channels who are so poor that they don't have the money to send 2 OB vans or live link-ups to the northeast to cover the terrible flooding or to cover farmer suicides in Yavatmal because it's just too expensive, decided to pull out all stops for Modi's visit to America. Budget was not a problem. Bas mauka acha hona chahiye aur sponsors theek hone chahiye. So NDTV had Barkha on a balcony in New York with American panelists. Times now went one better. Not just a balcony, but a full-on studio for the New York edition with Arnab, Navika and Maroof traveling to New York with guests from America. Headlines today had Rahul Kanwar, Rajdeep Sardesai and Gaurav Sawant. Hell, even NewsX managed to get a visa to the United States and did something with Rahul Shivshankar. Nothing impressive, but still, there was him and multiple panelists in multiple windows. However, the richest of them all, owned by the richest man in India, CNN-IBN, had this. Seriously? One camera and a chroma background? Not even a multicam setup? Hell, even we have more than one camera. This is the channel that Mukesh Ambani owns. Not only was this a one-camera shoot, but it was obviously in a tiny studio. Was it just an office corner? And that's why Bhupendra and Farid had to sit so uncomfortably close together. Admit it, guys, your knees must have been touching. If they were any closer to each other, they'd be kissing, which can only mean one thing.
Love jihad. American Muslim seduces UP Pundit.
Still, if Bhupendra's studio setup was nothing super, he managed an absolutely super interview.
Spidey is just... What happens? Do you jump up a wall? Oh, you can go straight up on a wall, is it? Oh, unbelievable. Okay. So maybe when our Prime Minister comes in, maybe you can show him.
We played that unedited. We have not added anything there. Mukesh Bhai must really be rolling in the money if he's sending journalists to America for hard-hitting reports like this. Still, Network 18 must have spent the entire budget on the airfare and Farid Zakaria because their reporters had to take bikes, cycles, because New York cabs can be so expensive.
I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle.
Wow, you guys must have felt so original doing your piece to cameras on those bikes, but Rahul Kanwar beat you to that months ago. If that makes it unoriginal, what's even more unoriginal is that both Bhupendra and Sumit Awasthi chose the same location and the same prop for the exact same piece to camera. The only difference was the language.
Being anywhere in India where you could put on a suit and a tie, be in formal black shoes and yet be cycling around.
क्या आप ये इमेजिन कर सकते हैं, सोच सकते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान में कोई आदमी सूट पहन के, लेदर शूज पहन के, टाई लगा के किस तरीके से ऑफिस जाए?
The beauty about this park is that it's a completely man-made park. Now what does this signify? It signifies that if there is proper policy and if there is a proper approach which is adopted, then even in a city as congested as New York, you can actually build a green lungs right in the heart of that city itself.
न्यूयॉर्क के बीचों बीच है और न्यूयॉर्क के बीचों बीच एक मैन मेड पार्क है और इस मैन मेड पार्क में बहुत आसानी से चारों तरफ ग्रीनरी है इस कंजस्टेड न्यूयॉर्क में.
Now for Prime Minister Modi, who has a mission of having 100 smart cities in India in a few years from now, I think one of the key challenges also could be whether he can create an infrastructure like this.
नरेंद्र मोदी ने हिंदुस्तान में 100 स्मार्ट सिटी बनाने का बात की हुई है और ये कुल मिलाकर न्यूयॉर्क के इस कॉन्सेप्ट से सीखा जा सकता है कि कैसे एक स्मार्ट सिटी बन सकती है.
Okay, at least they were saving the environment. Still, even without a cycle, Bhupendra was on a roll. Not only did he interview the man who interviewed Modi, he also got a photograph with a photograph of a man he admires.
With Wolf Blitzer picture at CNN New York. Admire him.
Normally, we get photos clicked with the person we admire, not with a photograph of the person we admire unless they're dead. But let's look at Bhupen's antics a little sympathetically, because it's the budgets, right? We know why Mukesh Bhai didn't give IBN the budgets that someone gave NDTV and the richest media house gave Arnab and gang. It was because at the Make in India meet, as a send-off to Modi, Mukesh committed his money to creating 1.25 lakh jobs with his investments. क्या मुकेश भाई अपने चैनल को थोड़ा पैसा तो दे दो, हमको मत देना, क्योंकि we are unpredictable and say what we want. हमको आप, meaning the viewers, आप पैसा देना. Please subscribe now.
अक्सर आपने लोगों को ये कहते सुना होगा कि यार why can't India be like other advanced developed countries? हम आधुनिक देशों की तरह क्यों नहीं हो सकते? वहाँ की जो involvement होती है, responsibility होती है, awareness होती है, why can't we be like that? I'll give you an example of a news website called Dear Correspondent in the Netherlands. They raised $1.3 million from the public. It was a crowdsourced model. लोगों ने पैसे दिए उन्हें. And they completely changed the dynamic of who the news media is responsible to. We at News Laundry want to try the same model. When The public pays for news. The news media is responsible to the public. So will you support News Laundry and pay for it? Because then we will ensure anyone who makes a wrong move pays for it. Friend or foe. And yes, that goes for Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party too, for the most suspicious and cynical among you. So tell me, will you pay to keep news free?
Then there was Barkha, who decided to chuck the same old song and dance routine for a new song and dance routine. That's right. Barkha invaded a garba, and not just to dance, but to ask meaningful, insightful questions.
Sir, we are from India. Where are you from?
Okay, Barkha, here's a second chance. Redeem yourself.
Now, Mr. Modi will be fasting through Navratri. Will you also be fasting? Yes, I am. You're also fasting? Yes, I am. Many people are wondering what President Obama can serve him for dinner, except Nimbu Pani.
Mamma mia, what a nimbu pani! And all of this was even before Modi landed. Modi arrived in America to a huge reception. But just after he arrived, guess who stole Modi's thunder? Oof. So now we had all our star anchors sitting in New York while the action was in Bangalore and Chennai. In fact, Arnab, who proudly added New York to the title of the News Hour, was sitting in New York with the New York edition flashing on his screen, reporting about events taking place in Bangalore.
Right, so Jayalalitha stands disqualified as an MLA because of her conviction and the 4-year sentence of imprisonment.
See, it doesn't matter where Arnab is, because Arnab is Arnab. Since they created a New York edition of the News Hour with a promo for the New York edition of the News Hour, we bring you the stark difference between the regular News Hour.
Take the rhetoric aside, sir.
He's a terrorist.
Take the rhetoric aside.
He's a terrorist.
Sir, please be careful about what you say. You don't matter.
And the New York edition of the News Hour.
No, one second. No, since you bit below the belt. No, one second.
First he has to get some court to issue my warrant. Which have me, if you're going to call me names, I am not going to tell the truth. You're going to make it very obvious how lacking in intellectual capability.
As you all know, we have only one goal, to be number one. So what's on the news are tonight?
Well, we have floods in Assam.
Nobody cares about Assam.
I am from Assam, but Lovika's right. Nobody cares. So here's the plan. Prepare the studio.
Check.
Get me 3 guests from Pakistan.
Should they be English, Hindi, or Punjabi speaking?
They won't be speaking, they'll be screaming.
Get me Maruf in one window.
Check.
Get me an Indian general or defense analyst who can yell at the Pakistani in one window.
Check.
Get me research on Pakistan's screw-ups and some papers that I can wave around.
Check.
This is war. This is the News Hour. Okay, everyone. We're doing something radically different this time. We have the New York edition of the News Hour.
Wow.
It's not going to be like other news hours.
It's going to be historic.
Awesome.
So here's the new and different plan for the New York edition of the News Hour. Book me and my crew tickets to New York.
Check.
Book me a studio in New York.
Check.
Get me 3 guests from Pakistan.
Should they speak English or Punjabi or... Right.
Get me Maruf in one window.
Check.
Get me an Indian defense analyst and an Indian general who can yell at the Pakistani on one window. Get me research on Pakistani screw-ups and paper that I can wave around. This is war. This is the New York edition of the News Hour.
But coming back to the flavor of the week, Narendra Modi in the US, and Modi certainly seemed to be the toast of the town, be it his speech at the UN General Assembly or his appearance at a concert where he did this.
God bless you. May the force be with you.
Okay, Modi ji, we get that you're not exactly up to speed on Western pop culture, and that's fine. But may the force be with you, please. If that's the best you can come up with, or your speechwriters can come up with, we have some suggestions.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I'm the king of the world!
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Modi's speech at Madison Square Garden was the culmination of this festival and had everything from performers dancing to this. Born in the USA? Okay. To performers singing this. Okay. To performers singing this.
Oh, say, can you see?
And dancing to this. NRIs think that everything from India has to look like this because the last few Desi events held at Madison Square Garden were Ranbir Kapoor and his Besharam act, Amitabh Bachchan's performance and Bollywood nights. The event itself cost about $1.5 million, and here's something for all you conspiracy nuts out there. It was partially sponsored by Adani, as reported by Business Standard. Not that we're implying anything. Please, don't buy us. Modi's speech at the event was a huge hit with the NRIs inside Madison Square Garden. But outside, another Gujarati born was also a huge hit. But like this.
You're an asshole too.
We wonder who took the brilliant call to let Rahul Kanwar report from the safety of the arena and send Rajdeep Sardesai to the firing line. This 10-second clip sent Twitter into overdrive with hashtag Rajdeep slapped and hashtag I stand with Rajdeep trending within minutes of the incident. Still, was this 10-second clip enough to decisively condemn either party? No. Luckily, longer clips, eyewitness tweets, and Facebook posts surfaced that painted a more complete picture of the event, leaving the crowd and the journalists equally looking bad. But in the competition of looking bad, there was only one winner.
जी न्यूज़ सबसे ज्यादा खबरें।
राजदीप सरदेसाई और उनकी पत्नी सागरिका घोष का पत्रकारिता के क्षेत्र में विकास उनकी योग्यता से ज्यादा उनके रिश्तेदारों और पारिवारिक पृष्ठभूमि का नतीजा रहा है।
We will be taking this issue, wringing it clean, stringing it up and putting it out to dry on the next episode of Clothesline. Get online. The Modi Show in America also brought out the creative best in our news media with wonderful headlines and show titles like these.
Modi aane wala hai, Modi aane wala hai, Modi aane wala hai, Modi aane wala hai.
So we've come up with our own because Modi ka bukhar to hame bhi chada. America gets pneumonia. Finally, a shout out to Siddharth Vishwanath, who won the caption contest we just held. Siddharth has an affinity for puns and poor jokes, which for once managed to win him something. Usually all he gets for his punning is friend zoned. Thank you and congrats. Make sure to participate in our next contest and you too could get a shout out on Clothesline. Well, that's a wrap for the week. If you saw any moments from journalism that made you go, oh wow or oh crap, write in to us or tweet to us. And more importantly, subscribe to us, subscribe to our newsletter and support our I Pay to Keep News Free campaign. You've got to support, you've got to get involved. We are the change and you must be the change because you are the change for better or for worse, and make it for better. Never do nothing. Stay connected, stay online.